You guys are all back at the Oasis now. Like I said, you have a new rock golem buddy who's just kind of putzing around the camp. He's helping construct things. But there's been a recent major breakthrough in the search for the blood vials that have gone missing that contained the princess's blood. So when you guys went and rescued her from the castle, when you removed her from the room that she was being held in, you noticed that there was a machine and there was a lot of blood around the room, and there was also a lot of empty vials, signaling that they were removing her blood for some kind of ritual. You now have a lead on where that blood went. So you're going to have to go talk to Lorna if you want to learn more about that.
All right, yeah. Let's go talk to Lorna.
So is everybody going to follow him, or are people just going to do their own thing for a little bit while Cham checks out what the quest is?
It's going to take me a minute to get over there because I'm going full oogie-boogie-boo with my dragon.
Okay, Veldos. All right, you're going to do a seduction roll on Lorna. So I'm going to do this with Veldos first before we get to you guys. So Veldos, you approach Lorna. I'm going to have you roll a charisma roll. And Cham and Arch, you guys are currently having a cuteness contest with your dragons, talking baby talk to them. So Veldos, roll a seduction roll, which would be charisma. Plus 15. Okay, I'm going to roll for her to see how she's going to do in terms of a wisdom check. Oh, okay. So, Velnos, you walk up, you slide her like a cheesy pickup line. She kind of smiles at you and blushes a little bit. And then you use a vine from your pinky finger and kind of wind it down a little bit and give her a nice little smack on the behind with a vine. Lorna kind of looks over and says, "You know, I've always wanted to learn how to fence. Could you help me?" After the briefing. So Velnos, you're kind of getting in there like Flynn now. She's going to catch up with you a little bit after the briefing here. So the rest of you guys are now gathered around Lorna, and she explains that they think they've located where the Dragonborn have stored the blood, or rather where they've moved it. Lorna and Gregor invite you guys inside the little cabin where you guys all gather around a table where there's a large map of the Fire Sand Wastes, and they point to Dragonsteel Quarry, which is the area where you guys were going to be taken originally when you were taken hostage at the Northern Gate before Lorna rescued. And she says that there was a large caravan of Dragonborn that was moving towards Dragonsteel Quarry, and they were carrying a heavily armored carriage. But the thing that made this one specific is that it was being accompanied by a black-scaled general, which is not very common. And they said that general is General Vorgal. But the thing is that they're going to give you guys a dossier because Lorna basically takes out a small little booklet in her hand and she throws it onto the table and says to look inside of it. It has pictures basically of all the different Dragonborn generals that exist in the Dragonborn army under Thresh, who's the guy that runs the Black Scales. Vorgal is on the lower end, but he's also a massive Dragonborn. Like, he's probably about 30 feet tall. He's a freak of nature, and they built a specially made Dragonborn suit of armor for him to wear that allows him to basically curl up into a ball and roll around and crush people. Gregor kind of looks around and basically says that, "Oi! I'll bring my thieves with me. We can take care of all the little ones that are wandering around the big bloke there. And then you guys can go in and take them out. This is our best chance to take out a Dragonborn general. He's separated from the rest. He's in Dragonsteel Quarry. Most of them are just slaves and a few prison wardens." Veldos, it is going to take a lot to cripple all of those Dragonborn, and I don't know if you could technically count that as an army.
Put her on fucking Kate Zerton. Cripple as many as we can.
Veldos, as you are explaining that what you want to do to cripple the army and like fuck with them, you can still hear the Dragonborn outside that you crippled that's tied to Whopper Jr. screaming. Veldos, roll dexterity if you want to whip him. Oh! He rolled a nat 20. You whip him so hard that you broke his pelvis again. And he screams in pain before passing out from it. You guys can do what you want at this point. She's given you this mission where basically Gregor is saying that if you guys want to go to Dragonsteel Quarry, maybe you can get the blood back before they actually perform the ritual.
I see in my peripheral, I see freaking Draylark, like air pelvic thrusting. I just go over to Draylark, hand him the key to the wagon, and I tell him, clean up after yourself.
You guys are busy discussing, and Lorna kind of sneaks her way over to Velnos and kind of whispers a little bit in his ear and takes her index finger and urges him to follow as she goes over to the wagon and slowly opens the door. All right, so Velnos, you're going to follow her. So basically, she kind of ducks inside there along with you. It's one of those situations where everybody else, roll a listen check. Arch is very busy coddling Fafnir, so he doesn't really notice this. Cham, you're aware of it because you gave him the literal key. Uhtred is also aware of it.
18.
So apparently Arch is the only one who doesn't notice any of this. Uhtred and Kermit, you guys hear it. Velnos, you can roll for your sex roll now. I'm going to say because you rolled a 14 that you go for, like, the first round is like, yeah, you go for like a solid 10 minutes. And by the way, everybody else now has noticed this, so it's kind of just like when the wagons are rocking, don't go a knocking type of thing.
I go a knocking because they're in there sinning.
He's going to do one more. All right, that was worse. So, I mean, you're, the sloppy seconds was not as desirable. Raka, as this is happening, before Chan can put the padlock on the door, you go up and you knock with your hand. Are you going to knock, like, forcefully, or are you just going to tap it?
I'm gonna knock cordially, but firmly.
Velos, you're going to have to do a listen check to see if you actually hear him knocking. You hear something faintly, but you just kind of keep going. So, Raka, he's not paying any attention to what you're doing outside.
I whistle for Tura and command her to knock the wagon over.
You're going to have to roll a strength roll for the Griffin. Oh, one more bang. You return to form with the third round. So in total, you're in there for about a half hour. But at the end of it, we're going to see if Raka's Griffin can knock over the wagon.
Keep in mind, I'm still going to padlock.
In between the Griffin coming over and Velnos fucking, Cham, you go over and padlock the door shut.
Sweet.
15. I'm going to say that is enough. So basically what happens is the Griffin kind of backs up a little bit and then winds up and just shoulder charges the wagon, like near the top of it, like flies up and basically just like smashes it. So the wagon then tips over on its side. So the door is facing straight up now. And Velnos, you and Lorna on the inside immediately fall to the opposite side of the wagon. Keep in mind, you're still fucking at this point. So now you're all covered in hay. And she just kind of looks over at you and says, "Was that you or the carriage?" Velnos looks over. Probably the carriage. So you guys are going to finish up in there. Velnos, you do not know that the door is locked. Lorna is in the process of getting dressed. You are pretty much already dressed because half of your clothing grows on you anyway. Do you want to try and get through the door now that the wagon is tipped over? I'm going to try and open the door. Okay, you attempt to open the door and you can't because there is a metal padlock on the outside. So you are able to deduce that the door is locked.
Punch it.
Wait a minute, with your penis?
Bro, he's gonna fuck the door. Let's go.
Okay, so Velnos, what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you roll a strength roll for the pelvic thrusting. You go and you hump the door. Keep in mind, the door is on the ceiling now also, by the way. So you are basically grabbing onto the bars of the window and bracing your feet. Lorna sees what you're doing, and as a joke, because she's all giddy from sex, she's going to smack your ass while you're doing it to give you a boost. So you're going to get an additional +3. There we go. Okay, so this is what happens. All right, you will get some dick splinters, but whatever. You were probably going to get that no matter what you roll. So Lorna sees what you're trying to do and realizes that the door is locked, but because this is amusing to her, she decides to smack your ass as you're doing it. With one mighty thrust, because you have an iron cock, you shove it through the door right where the lock is, and you blow off the lock. So now your dick is just sticking through the door, but you blew the padlock off.
Speaking of, as Uhtred sees the dick come through the door, he shouts, "Tura, look, a worm!"
Roll for intelligence on the Griffin to see if the fucking Griffin can identify whether or not it's a worm. Velnos, if it identifies it as a worm, I'll give you a reflex save to pull it back in. Okay, it does not realize that it's a penis. It thinks it's a worm, and it's moving towards it. Velnos, roll a reflex save. All right, yeah, pull-out game is strong, Velnos. All right, so yeah, Velnos, you pull back quickly as the Griffin goes and snaps at what is perceived to be a worm, but you're able to get your dick back inside quickly enough. The Griffin is now sitting on top of the door and kind of looking in at you and Lorna in various states of undress. And Draylark then expresses to Uhtred, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Get it away from me."
I'm sorry, what? Bit hard of hearing. Who's that?
So Velnos, you put the rest of your clothes back on, and now that the lock is blown off the door, you can just open the door. It's not locked anymore. Somebody will probably have to flip the carriage back, since Cham does not technically have the strength to do that on his own.
Can I try? Can I try anyways?
You can try. If you roll anything below a 20, I'm going to give you a hernia. You rolled a 17. Cham, as you begin to lift, you feel a third testicle erupt from your lower region. Take 5 damage.
Oh, God!
Okay, so Velnos, you're going to try and kick the door open. So yeah, you could do that. You're going to have to get some length, though, because the door is still on the ceiling. The carriage is still tipped over. All right, so Velnos, what you basically do is you take the vines, you form your armor, you take the vines, and you put the vines, you hook them on to handles that are on either side of the door. You then brace yourself and put both of your feet upwards, and then you use the vines kind of as like a slingshot effect, and it shoots your feet and everything up through the door. The door smashes open, and you fly up through the top of the carriage. Roll for balance to see if you land successfully. All right, I'm going to say that's enough. So, Velnos, you land on the ground easily, and your vines retract. Lorna then climbs out of the open door and leaps off next to the wagon. The wagon is still tipped over, by the way. So, are you guys going to right that wagon, or are you just going to leave it on its side? Because it is still tied to the scorpion.
Yeah, it's my fucking... I took it.
I'm not gonna have anybody help him whatsoever, especially not the scorpion. If he just gets on it, it's just gonna drag the wagon. You write that shit yourself. This is between you fucking idiots.
I'm not the one that tipped it over.
No, but you started it with the fucking lock and all the other dumb shit and giving him the key.
No, the fault lies on the sinners for having sex out of wedlock. God works in mysterious ways.
Cham, you've got another hernia. Take another 5 damage. Arch, you may have to heal him.
Fuck that. He deserves this.
Are you trying to lift it again?
Yes.
You have a 3rd hernia. Take 5 more damage.
Alright, yeah, I'm just gonna stumbly walk over to Rocky. I'm like,
Okay.
3 hernias in one day. That's not.
So you walk up to Rocky. Hey, little buddy. You're walking kind of funny.
Like I can't speak. I'm just doing I'm so in pain. I'm like pointing over the carriage.
You want me to put the carriage back on the wheels?
I'm just gonna nod, like the rush nod, the pained nod.
Okay,
Pain nodding.
little buddy. Rocky goes over and easily puts the carriage back on its wheels. However, the door now has a busted lock on it, which means you're going to have to rope it shut or something.
I could just do a cantrip of mend. Also,
That's true.
cure critical wounds is a touch attack. So I walk up behind the frog and I punch him in the back of the head. 4d8 plus 9. The d4 was for the damage of punching him in the back of the skull.
Okay,
and
so you healed him for 22, so he's back to full health and the hernias are gone. So Cham, you are back to full health and you can walk normally.
I'm gonna walk over to Draylark and I'm gonna force him to make me a door. He destroyed it.
All right, so Velnos, you find some spare boards that are out behind the cottage. They've been sitting there for a little while, but because it's not very rainy and stuff where you are most of the time, that you're able to take those. Roll a crafting roll to build a new door. All right, I'm going to say you build a good enough door because it just has to be for the wagon. So basically, you use your armor and you're able to form the wood into what you want it to be, and you are able to install the door. Oh, you want a dick pattern on it. Okay, that's fine. You do that. I'm not going to make you roll a crafting roll for that because it's pretty simple. Velnos, you put on the door in Elvish, gargle my balls after you install it. You are able to fix up the wagon, so the wagon is now ready to go. If you guys want to, you can hop on in, and Lorna and Gregor are also going to accompany you on this, as well as some of Gregor's thieves.
I'm gonna see the door, and in amphibious, I'm gonna put Draylark has small pee-pee.
So Velnos does not speak amphibious, so he can't read that, but apparently everybody else can. Now that you've finished covering the door with graffiti, Lorna and Gregor have gathered their people together and they're ready to embark for Dragonsteel Quarry. You guys embark to Dragonsteel Quarry. All right, so you guys are on your way. So Kane, you're riding on the Zaratan. Velnos is riding on Whopper Jr. with the Dragonborn still tied to the side of it. Arch is riding on his zombie centipede, and Cham is riding in the carriage that's being towed by the giant scorpion. So you guys are going to travel to Dragonsteel Quarry. So Kane, Cham, and Raka, what do you want to do for fuckery along the way?
Do we have any drugs?
Yes, you do.
Oh, we have Green Dragon?
Yeah.
The green dragon's on me. I have the green dragon.
I'm gonna pray.
Raka, you pray to your god.
I'm gonna like lean my ass cheeks over the side of my ride, and I'm gonna like just drop a shit.
So Kane, you don't want to stop and go to the bathroom. You're just going to lean your ass over the side and take a dump. So I'll roll Constitution for that, depending on how much pressure you want to put behind that.
Oh, bro, that's right. I could shotgun that bitch, couldn't I? Oh, let's go!
Oh my
okay. This is gonna be horrifying. All right, so Kane, you just you go to the edge of the Zaratan shell, and you turn around and you prop your ass up at an angle into the air, and everybody that is behind you simply sees a brown spray of nasty liquid spew out of your rear end and onto the desert. It smells horrible, and everybody just kind of rides by it, and eventually it goes away. You may have blown out an O-ring. Gregor kind of just looks at it in awe, and Lorna just sort of plugs her nose and walks by it.
I'm gonna start hitting on Lorna.
You're gonna hit on her, so roll for seduction.
Come on, good stuff. Oh, let's go. It's not natty, though.
For the sake of the plot and the fact that Velnos already claimed his land, I'm going to say she looks at you and simply says that the species are not compatible. Since Lorna seemed relatively disgusted by your display of shit, but Gregor did not, would you like to try and seduce Gregor?
Yeah, I'll stick my tongue in there.
So Gregor kind of looks up at you. So what are you going to say to him?
You know what this frog mouth do?
Oi! You wouldn't be the first frog I fucked. You name the time and the place.
I mean, I'm down right now.
You're gonna do it on top of the Zaratan? He climbs up there. He's gonna drop trow. What are you gonna do?
Uhtred prays harder.
You hear everything that's happening, and you just keep your eyes closed, and as you keep listening to it, your eyes just keep getting more and more angry as you're sitting there.
I'm gonna get on top of the carriage. I'm just gonna jump onto his griffin. I'm gonna roll the jump.
You rolled a nat 1, which is still a failure. So what happens is this. You jump off of the carriage. You're aiming for Raka's griffin, which is riding in between Kane's Zaratan and your carriage along with the scorpion, but you greatly underestimated your ability to jump. So for whatever reason, you had just kind of a spasm, and your legs jettison you up further than what you planned. So as you fly, you actually are flying up above and over Raka and directly at the Zaratan's asshole.
Yo, Lightning McQueen getting some action too. Let's go!
Cham, I'm going to roll to see if you penetrate. Yeah,
Ooh,
that's
if he
what
does too. The animal's instinct is going to be to pucker in, so that means it's going to quench and suck him right up that butthole.
He rolled an 8. You're gonna go in. You go right in completely. You're gonna have to roll strength to crawl your way out. All right, so Cham, you're able to disgustingly claw your way towards the back of the Zaratan, and I'm gonna roll for the Zaratan to see if he can kind of force you out of there. Okay, he doesn't even notice that you're back there apparently. So Cham, you just see from the back end, if somebody was looking at you, if Raka was staring directly at its anus, you would just see a couple of frog hands come out and a head. Just to so you can breathe. It's kind of like that scene from Ace Ventura 2 with the rhino. So I'm gonna have you roll another strength roll to pull the rest of your body out.
All right, so as he's clawing his way out, I'm gonna have Tura take to the sky.
So you fly up in your Griffin rocket, so you're in the air now. Are you just gonna fly so you can avoid all the shit?
Correct, sir.
Okay, fair enough. Cham, I'm gonna say that's enough to get the rest of your body out. So you're able to crawl out. You're kind of just hanging on the Zaratan's tail, but you're sort of also covered in poo. Because I let you do all that, I'm going to go back to Kane doing his thing for a second, and then we'll go back to you. So this is how this is going to go down. So what happens is Gregor drops trow. He then gets on his knees in front of you, turns around, and puts his ass up face down, and says to do your worst.
Alright, well, I'm gonna fucking shove my entire tongue in there.
Roll dexterity. All right, 16. All right, I'm going to say that this is what happens. So, Kane, you just kind of repeatedly, have you ever seen, a pneumatic piston? Just, going...
Yeah.
Okay, so that's basically what's happening, is you're shooting your tongue out, you're hitting him in the ass, and then you're pulling it back and just doing the same thing over and over again. And if you're looking at the front of his face, you just see his eyes slowly roll back into his head as he begins to go limp and pass out from ecstasy. I'm going to roll his constitution to see how long it takes. His constitution is not very high because he's a rogue, so I'm going to say that's a 14. So after about a few minutes of doing that, he just sort of passes out up there. You also have the nasty taste of ass on your tongue now. I don't know if you want to wash that off.
Yeah. I'll grab a big old jug of water.
Yeah, you have your water skin with you, so you pour that on the end of your tongue, and you kind of just use your hand to wipe off any residuals.
I'm just gonna get on top of the tail. I'm just gonna pour as much water as I can on me.
All the thicker crap you wash off yourself. Like, you're still going to smell for a while. So Gregor has been thoroughly satisfied. He is now passed out on top of the Zaratan with his pants still at his ankles. All right, so you guys have proceeded to do horrible, horrible fucking things to people.